Hey YouTube, it's jurracmaster, and today I'm bringing you a budget deck. Not the least expensive deck out there. There are obviously cards in here that are somewhat over what you would want to put in a budget deck, but for the most part it's really not that expensive. The rarest card in the main deck is a super rare, and it's not an expensive one at that. But the most expensive cards in here would be some rares that are just a couple dollars each. So, that being said, in the extra deck, there are going to definitely be cards that are expensive that could make the extra deck better, and I would recommend getting them if you can and you want to run this deck, but you don't need them. You can play fine without them, but they'll just help out in certain situations. So, I'm just going to get into the deck. It's a pretty interesting deck. It's called Bazoo Beacon, so you'll kind of see why that's so soon enough. But I kind of just came up with this. It's a pretty interesting idea. So, TG Strikers, got 3 of them. I actually was thinking about this deck for a long time, but never had the Strikers, and I just kind of looked through some of my stuff yesterday and found them. So I was kind of happy I just had a playset of Strikers laying around. I've also got 3 Warwolf in here, and 3 Rush Rhino. So that's the TG engine in there, 9 TGs. So now to the rest of the stuff. I have 3 Bazoo the Soul Eater, 2 Summoner Monk, 2 Goldfax of the Nordic Beasts. You could use 3 if you want, I just used 2. 2 Cyber Dragon, and 2 Chaos Sorcerer. As you can see, not too rare. I mean, obviously you could throw in a Blackluster Soldier if you have one, but you don't really need to. Chaos Sorcerer works just fine, especially because this deck focuses on level 8 synchros, so Chaos Sorcerer and TG Striker make an 8, so just remove and then summon an 8. For the spells, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Book of Moon, 2 MST, 2 Noblemen of Crossout, 1 DDR, and 2 Unicorn Beacon. So, some of the stuff in there, like Nobleman, just a pretty good card. Someone sets against you because you have control, and it's maybe a Raikou or something, you can pop that, or whatever it is you need to do. So that works out pretty well, and you can ditch it for Summoner Monk, which is probably what will happen most of the time, but it's just there. It's a nice card to have. So the traps in this deck are Solemn Judgment, Mirror Force, 2 Bottomless, Torrential, 2 TG1EM1, and 3 Horn of the Phantom Beast. So, as you can see, I mean, stuff like Horn of the Phantom Beast is a little more expensive. Mirror Force and Solemn are easy to get, but individually they're a little bit up there. Unicorn Beacon is hard to find, but definitely worth grabbing for this deck, because it's really not going to cost you much to grab that from somebody. And Chaos Sorcerers are obviously pretty cheap. Common Cyber Dragons are hard to get. And who doesn't have Bazoos lying around? So really the only hard stuff would be the Rush Rhinos, the Strikers, and the Horn of the Phantom Beasts. So that's just a few cards in there that cost you maybe a few bucks each, so it's a really inexpensive deck. And for some extra deck options, this isn't really an actual extra deck. I would have worked with it more, but I'd probably recommend 2 Stardust Dragons, just because you can make 8s really easily. I only had 1 rare. I'm trying to make this as budget looking as possible with what I have, which is why everything was commoned out, and I'm not using like my ultras and ultimates of everything I have. So, Red Dragon, it's just a big level 8. Colossal Fighter's definitely worth putting in there. Thought Ruler Archfiend's a good one if you can get one. So just really any level 8s you can get would be effective in here. So you're going to want to have some strong 7s. I'd recommend a couple Scrap Archfiends, however many you can get, because that's probably the level 7 you're going to want to go into in this deck. Black Rose is okay, but it's just a big beater, and some people can't really afford the Black Rose. This is like an extremely budget version of the deck. Life Transfer is another one for anyone that can't get Scrap Archfiend for some reason. Gaia Knight, probably the easiest good level 6 to get right now, so probably maybe try to get 2 of these in there for 2 level 6 options, because you can make 6s pretty easily in this deck. Also 5s are pretty easy in here, so for anyone that can, I would recommend trying to get it. Probably 2. And that would just be anyone who can't afford stuff like Bryonic, because I'd probably put in 1 Gaia Knight and 1 Bryonic in here. So level 5s are easy to make in this deck, so a few magical androids wouldn't hurt. There's room in this deck for 1 or 2 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons, because you have Cyber Dragon in here. And I'd be running a couple, probably 2 Utopias and 1 Zenmeister in here. If you can't afford stuff like Roach or any of the other 4s that could be made, Utopia and Zenmeister are pretty good. They come out as 2500, and Utopia has a pretty good effect, and Zenmeister's is alright if you find a way to use it in here, which I don't really think you would need to in here, but just comes out, it's pretty nice. Maybe 3 Utopias, who knows, because rank 4s are easy to make in this deck. So those are just a few suggestions. I didn't really come up with an exact extra deck. I'm just suggesting for anyone that wants to play it or try it out, even on Dueling Network, where you could fill in all the gaps with the whole reason for it being a budget deck. You could take out some of the reasons it's a budget deck and make it more of a competitive deck, because it probably could be. Don't get me wrong. It's working pretty well. And for anyone that has these and is looking for a budget deck but has these already anyway and just needs a main deck that's budget, Trishula is definitely worth getting. But out of all of these cards, first off, Bryonic is the one you'd want to go for first, then Trish. Then probably after that, if you can find a Scrap Dragon, that would be good to get. And then Cataster and Librarian are good, because 5s are good to make in this deck. So those are just for anyone that can get those. They're a little more expensive, but if you can afford them, they're definitely worth it for this deck. Now I'm gonna get into a little more on how to play the deck and what its combos are. So the TGs pretty much explain themselves. They search themselves, and Warwolf is a dark for the chaos aspect of the deck. Rush Rhino's the big beater. Striker and Warwolf kind of summon themselves, and whenever they're destroyed and sent to the graveyard during the end phase, you get to search a different TG. So definitely a good aspect of the deck, and really it's because these 6 here work with Horn of the Phantom Beast. So that's another reason. Bazoo, he also works with Horn of the Phantom Beast, and he's going to end up removing things from your graveyard that wouldn't interfere with making chaos. So if you have maybe 3 Warwolves in there, go ahead and remove 1. Or if you've already used a Chaos Sorcerer, go ahead and remove some. But mainly, it's going to remove Rush Rhinos, Strikers, Sometimes it'll remove Chaos Sorcerer itself, but mainly it's just going to remove these 6 guys and whatever else you can afford to. Don't even have to remove all 3. Just give it some extra attack, because you want to get your beasts and, well, yeah, just mainly beasts. So it'll also remove other Bazoos, but most importantly, Rush Rhino and other Bazoos would get removed by him. Oh, man, I need to stop doing that. Sorry about that, guys. So Bazoo helps the removal engine in here. So Summoner Monk for the quick 8s, and the rank 4 exceeds when you run out of Goldfax. Goldfax is in here because he's a level 4 light tuner, and he's a beast, so he works with Horn of the Phantom Beast. Yeah, that is a pretty nice move there. So for anyone that wants to run 3, feel free to do that. Works very well in this deck, and if you wanted to throw in another one, I'd probably recommend taking out a TG1 EM1. They're good cards, but I'd rather use the TGs for other things most of the time. So the quick 8 and immediate chaos right there if you do that. And not to mention, you can make a rank 4 exceed if all else fails. Cyber Dragons, they're in there just so that they can be special summoned to make synchros with. They're a light, they're good against machines, and it's just a nice card to be able to pull out when you're in a pinch, because this deck certainly gets out of pinches pretty well. It's pretty consistent in how it plays too because of the TGs and the Horn of the Phantom Beast engine. So then Chaos Sorcerers are in there at 2 because Blackluster Soldier is not a good budget card. But if you were to use Blackluster Soldier, I'd probably say take one out, or I don't know, because you've got plenty of darks and plenty of lights in here actually. So honestly, you could just throw in a Blackluster and take out a TG1 EM1. If you have one, that is. But they're in there because they synchro, they remove, and they come out in a pinch. So, good pinch card. It works almost as well as Blackluster, and then you can sync with it if you need to. I mean, 4 obvious staples right here. The Reborn, Dark Hole, Heavy, and Book. So I'm not really going to explain much on those. 2 MSTs because I needed more spells, and it's a good budget spell that does a lot of good work for you. And as I said before, Nobleman's, I've explained that already. Here's part of the combos. 1 DDR just because you can remove other monsters than just the beasts, but part of the deck is Unicorn Beacon, as the deck is named Bazoo Beacon. So Unicorn Beacon is a card that allows you to select 1 remove from play level 5 or lower beast type or winged beast type monster. I think it has to be you control. No, it's just 1 remove from play 1. So if the other player has one, go ahead and target that. Then you remove from play 1 card from your hand and special summon the target in face-up attack position. So that's the reason that Bazoo is in there. And not to mention, Horn of the Phantom Beast is why this whole deck works. So the rest of it, these guys, they switch, but Horn of the Phantom Beast is really what makes the deck work. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. A little longer than I wanted for a budget deck that's not really a Jurrac deck or anything. Nothing that I focus on my channel, but I do like the card. I think that, or not the card, the deck. I think the deck works very well. It's very consistent, and it's a cheap deck. I wanted to get some more budget decks out there for you guys, and this one's definitely fun, and it gives people a chance to play Bazoo again. I know I like the card, and it's a pretty fun deck to play, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time when I bring you probably Evils, because I'm still waiting on one Westlow, have a nice day.